India decided it was my time to go. And not only me, all the foreigners in India who had anything to do with any type of yoga, Ayurvedic, Sanatan Dham institutions, all were given 2
Wow.
days notices and told to leave, even if they'd been there 10, 15, or 20
Wow.
years.
Yeah, we're going to touch on this later,
And
aren't we?
we just had
Yes,
to
on
go.
this. Yeah, on this, yeah, yeah. We can
Yes,
touch on
sure.
it now. What was the story? I mean, like,
Okay, so you have to give it a bit of context. What actually happened was, see, when I first arrived, there were no visas. We were a
mm,
Commonwealth country. Then, after the death of Indira Gandhi, and it's another story and another day, I was actually next door when she got shot. I was teaching yoga to one of the Chief Justices of India. But anyway, that's another story. But what happened was, after she got shot, they had to start
mm,
changing the rules. And then, of course, the bureaucracy started to get a little bit more paranoid. And then her son became the prime minister. Uh, and unbeknown to most people, he wasn't very, how to put this diplomatically to my Congress friends, he wasn't very keen on Bharat. His heart was set living in Italy. He was forced by his mum to come over, who I'd met, Indira Gandhi I'd met twice. He was forced to come over because his younger brother had been killed or had died in a tragic accident or whatever had happened. So he found himself with his Italian wife in India amongst the Hindu community. And he really basically had converted himself to Catholicism. So up until that point, you see, Indira Gandhi, I know for a fact, practiced yoga, Veda, Rudrakshamala, was very close. I mean, she had her faults, I understand that, but she also had, one of the things was she was very proud of Indian culture. I didn't see that in Rajiv Gandhi. He was incredibly bright. There were some things he did which were incredibly good for the country. But as far as Sanatan Dham and the Hindu culture is concerned, he just took a step back. But of course, being the prime minister of the country, he understood, so he couldn't say much about it. But then the pressure was on him, and that was one of the triggers. And I can say this now because all of these people have left us. I don't like to talk about things where people are still here. Now it's past, as past as history. So the governor of Bihar and the director general of police, who I used to stay with and teach yoga, they both came and pleaded with me that give me an application and we'll apply for Indian citizenship, because we're just about to wipe out all the foreigners in India who have anything to do with yoga, Ayurvedic, or Sanatan Dharma. But I said, no, if India doesn't want me, they'll let them throw me out. Because I was young at
mm,
that time. I thought, I'm not going to force myself on this amazing country, Bharat. Okay, so yes, that's a little bit of the
wow.
history of that. So I've seen India in many shades. I even traveled on the trains as a 15-year or 16-year-old or whatever the age I was, 13 or 14, and saw the
Mm,
emergency, right? That was a very dark
mm.
period, and it's been forgotten. And I won't go much into that, but that was a very dark period of India. And even Indira Gandhi acknowledged that that was a great mistake. And if she had the chance again, she would have not done it.
Very well.
But it's hard to know in politics.
Actually, I'm curious. You said it was the people practicing yoga and foreigners practicing yoga, Ayurveda, etc., who had to leave. Why? Why were only them targeted?
Okay, no, so you've got to understand at
Yeah.
that time, and even now there's little bits left of it, everybody was living like a
Mm,
foreigner who was wealthy. When I met the senior most people of India in Delhi in their bungalows, I won't mention names, but in one house, husband and wife, very senior, they had 12 people in the kitchen cooking for
mm,
them, 3 people. So we would have high tea in the afternoon and they come with their plumes and service. It was still the British Raj. In fact, you see, the British were incredibly brilliant. When they left with favors. So the people of the British Raj remained. You know, and I even chuckle today when you ask people what were the best schools, even today where people are educated, they all have saints in front of their names. No rishis, no munis. So, but then again, and I have an ancestry from Britain, by the way, so I must express that. But I will say this in the British defense: of all the colonizers in the world, They were the best of the worst. So if India had to be colonized, okay, it was the British and not one of those other countries in Europe, but still, it would have been amazing if India had not been colonized. But then again, it also would have been amazing if the circumstances had been different when Indira Gandhi was the prime minister and things weren't nationalized. And I'll just give you a short, quick example of something amazing. Before Indira Gandhi nationalized Air India, it was owned by the Tatars. It was the most profitable airline in the world. Now, imagine if it had not been nationalized and until today, the Tatars were running it. Now, the Tatars have TCS, the biggest computer group amongst all in the world. Can you imagine how many more people would be employed in Air India? What a phenomenal airline it would be, the likes of Singapore Airlines,
Yeah,
one of the best in
so
the
true.
world. So, unfortunately, in those times, under those circumstances, these things happened. But of course, the great news is it's back in the private sector and back with the
Mhm.
Tatars. So we're all waiting with a bated breath for
Finally.
their magic to take place with Air India. Yes.
So interesting, so interesting. I think you probably have so many stories to share on that time.
So I try and
Yeah.
cut them so you can ask me a few more questions.
Please remember to subscribe to us and switch on the notifications for this channel. For our other social media links, more content, and to support our work, please visit citti.net. Dhanyavad. Namaskar.